Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Looking for Love in All the Wrong Dust Jackets, a show where three disgruntled harpies talk to you about everything we love in romance, whether that's books, movies, TV shows, whatever we like. My name's Liz.
I'm Danny.
I'm Wiggles.
And welcome to the episode. Today, we are discussing the movie Your Monster. But before we get into that, I gotta warn you, I got to let the people know that we are crass and unhinged. We are terribly unladylike. And we're going to talk about all of them naughty times using all them four-letter words.
Not a ton of naughty times, but not devoid of them.
There's not naughty times.
Correct.
Yeah. And there is a monster situation, so you know we're going to go down that path.
For sure.
Wiggs, what do you know about Your Monster?
Okay, so this is based on a 2020 short film by the same director, which is Caroline Lindy, who actually the like based on a true-ish story is based on her own life and experiences with fighting cancer and then being broken up with. So she knows the pain. That's rough. That's rough shit right there.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
They filmed at the Ritz and mostly in New Jersey. And also, this movie had only a $300,000 budget, which is crazy in 2024.
Yeah.
How do they even pay the actors with that money?
I don't know. I don't know. But yeah, and you know, there are some other fun facts here, but they're kind of just like obvious statements. Like the costume that Laura wears to the Halloween party was supposed to emulate the Bride of Frankenstein, and I'm like, who didn't get that one?
I was going to say, immediately when she walked out, I'm like, she's the Bride of Frankenstein. Cool.
Right?
The iconic hair.
Right,
You have to
yeah.
know.
Where's the confusion? So yeah, I'm not going to give you any more fun facts because they're all just facts. Not much on the fun side. So Danny, what's this movie about?
This movie is about Laura, who has cancer. She's been diagnosed. She just got out of surgery with it. And while she was in surgery, like when she was in the hospital after having surgery, her boyfriend broke up with her because he's a big old asshole. And then the other thing is that she helped him write a musical, and he had specifically written it so that she would play the role of the lead character on Broadway. And then he broke up with her, and he wasn't going to let her audition for the role and everything. She then moves home because she had been living with him because they dated for like 5 fucking years.
Yeah.
So she moved to her mother's house. Her mom is always traveling. She's never there. And she finds out that she has a monster that lives in her closet.
She sure does.
And he doesn't want a roommate.
Yeah.
And yeah, let's discuss because things are weird. I loved it, but
Yeah.
I will say it's really interesting if you look up the movie just like on Google, because it'll have multiple people listed under the actor's name. So I'm assuming it's both the movie and like the short film.
oh,
Probably.
probably.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But instead of like breaking them up, it just clunks it all together. And there's like 2 Lauras and 2 Jacobs. And I'm like, that's not right.
Not at all.
Incorrect. Yeah. Here's where I want to start because I think a rant's a brewing.
Oh boy.
God.
Fuck that guy.
Jacob?
Yes.
Yes.
Fuck that
Fuck
guy.
that
Fuck
guy.
that guy. Oh my God. Here's the thing that is the most like fuck that guy though, is that statistically that's really highly likely to happen
Yes.
to women.
It actually, it significantly increases your divorce rating if the woman gets cancer or any sort of long-term illness. However, it flips. Your divorce rate actually drops if the man gets
Yes.
that illness.
Yes.
I guess lucky my dad had cancer and not my mom.
I don't think
No.
that
I think
was.
you would have been safe there.
I think I would have been too, but
But yeah, that's like a really big thing that happens where these women just get like abandoned. Like that's
Yeah.
the best word for it, is that he fucking abandoned her.
well, and so yes, it's so shitty that he broke up with her. He broke up with her at the fucking hospital.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like
While she can barely even walk.
she literally was like holding the pole with her IV, trying to chase him down the hallway.
Well, and the thing is, we don't have like the clearest timeline, right? So we don't know how long she's had a diagnosis and how long she's been having any symptoms, right?
Right.
Yeah.
But it can't have been that long. Like
Yeah.
it seems like they went in, they had the surgery. She later on finds out that she is clear, that she's cancer free, or at least in remission, and that all stems from one surgery. That usually means that you caught it pretty early, and they say that multiple times that they were together for 5 years, and it doesn't seem like it's been like a 6th year. You know what I mean? It seems like it's been a few months.
Yeah.
Well, and Laura was doing the lead role of the Broadway musical that he wrote in the workshops.
Yeah.
So at the very least, she may have had a diagnosis, but she wasn't sick enough
Right.
to stop doing that for not that long ago. I mean, how long do you go from workshop to Broadway? Is that
It can be longer. It depends.
sure?
And it might have been off Broadway
Sure.
based on the size of the theater. But yeah, it really depends, because some have like really long ones, like Wicked, that go to like out of towns and stuff like that. But some, they're not nearly as long.
Well, this doesn't, at least by the cast size and stuff, it doesn't seem like it's going to be like a very large musical,
Yes.
which would maybe change how long it is. If it's going to be a big production, they might do more of a run previous.
Right, before you commit millions of dollars to making all of that, whereas that set and costumes seemed pretty manageable.
Yeah.
And the thing that is tricky too is that she isn't far enough removed that people don't know that she was workshopping the role.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
there's buzz about the fact that she has workshopped this role and has been recognized for workshopping this role. So I don't think that he spent very much time playing the caretaker at all. From what it seems like, she got a diagnosis. They were like, if we go in and do surgery efficiently,
Yeah.
hopefully we should be able to get it right away. And she had the surgery, and he broke up with her immediately after the surgery.
And from what I'm seeing, it didn't look like at least she did any IV chemo. She may have had oral chemo, immediately after the surgery. So, but it didn't seem like she was doing any IV chemo or anything.
We weren't shown any symptoms
No.
of chemo. The only
Yeah.
thing we saw is her going in to get her blood tested.
Yeah.
She did have pills, so she could have had
Sure.
an oral chemo that she was taking. But
It also could have been pain medication after surgery.
yeah. Exactly.
Yeah. And so we don't get like full sentences, because they kind of do this like sped through montage at the beginning to like get you up to speed.
Yeah.
But like he's saying he just can't do this anymore. And it's like, I don't think, based on the information that we have, that you've had to do it for very long at all.
Yeah.
Well, and I can understand for like the briefest moment when he says we need to get you a caretaker or something. And I'm like, I can understand if you need to do that, but you don't then leave somebody in the fucking hospital. You just say,
Yeah.
and we're going
And
to work
never
on doing that together.
And never speak to her again.
Yes.
Fucking ghosts her after that moment. You're
He
like,
has, is it Maisie or Maze, her best friend?
Maisie.
Maisie. He has Maisie fucking bring over
Her thing.
yeah, her things. It's like, really?
Yes.
Come on.
Well, and so much worse when you find out about
Yes.
Maisie.
Yeah.
Yes.
Fuck her on top of fuck him.
Oh, fuck her so much. Fuck her. Because, I mean,
I already didn't like her because she is a very shitty friend.
No, she's also ghosting Laura. She's just like, I'm your ride or die bitch. Okay, bye.
yeah,
Yeah,
I'm
she
going to be
brings
here
her home
whole
from the
time.
hospital and it's like, bye. What the fuck is that?
Right.
Yes. And in a lot of ways, the way that she goes about doing things is so it's a personality of person that I've met a few times, where they honestly don't see the like brush off that they're doing, or
They don't see that they are doing the bare minimum.
Yeah.
Which is part of what when Laura finally loses her shit on her, which yay. She's like, great, you're the bare minimum of a friend.
yes.
And that's what it was. Because, like, here's the thing. If, say, if I were to bring one of you from the hospital, if you wanted me to leave, because there may have been a moment where you're like, I need to be alone for a bit.
Yeah.
Cool. I would then also be checking in on you maybe a couple hours later. Hey, how you doing? Do you need anything? and definitely be coming the next day.
Well, there's a big difference between leaving somebody with their partner,
Yep.
say, right? Or with a roommate, or there's other friends that are coming and going, right? But if you're just like, hey, I picked you up from the hospital, you were literally in a wheelchair less than an hour ago, but you've got this, right? What?
Well, and there's something to be said about being a friend when during the like big moments is easy. Picking somebody from the hospital is an easy choice.
Yep.
Being a friend to somebody when things are like calm and every day, that's actually hard. It's hard to be consistently like in somebody's life. And so for Maisie to try to be like, oh, but I was there for you. It's like, yeah, that was easy for you, bitch.
Yeah. Ooh, you picked me up from the hospital. You are as helpful as a cab driver.
Right.
In that moment.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, you left the second my emotions got to me.
Yeah. Well, and also, where the fuck is Laura's mom?
She's just
Right?
traveling.
But I'm sorry, but if your daughter has cancer and then has surgery from said cancer.
Oh, yeah. No, she's a bitch.
The only thing I can
dislike her
think is
mother.
Laura didn't tell her.
But she
based on
sent-
the personality she has, I could see her just trying to hide it.
But she sent pie and
Well-
$5,000.
And Laura's staying in her mom's house.
That's true.
So at the very least, she knows that she broke up with Jacob.
Yeah.
I don't know how she wouldn't know, like, even more with all of that.
It's true. That's true.
She sent pie and $5,000.
I mean, I'll take
Which
pie and
means she also knows
$5,000.
she's probably
Right.
not working.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Unless she just gives out thousands, which, I mean, pass it my way, lady.
Yeah, I could use that. Thank you.
I'm sad.
Well, to get back to Jacob, though, the other thing that Laura does is classic female thing to do in a relationship, which is, oh, I just supported him. He wrote the musical. I just helped him. I was just there. And like, that's what you do. You just help somebody when they're working through something. And it's like, I mean, that is what you do, but you also take credit for the fact that you helped with the lyrics. You helped design the music and the character and all of that.
Well, and unfortunately, and this I found to be true throughout the entire story, it felt almost like aggressive in how true to my experience in working with theater people this whole fucking thing is. She nailed the personality types. She nailed the way that people interact. There was one point when Jacob is giving his director's speech where I just looked at Brianna. I was like, oh my God, he's doing it so well. And I hate him for it because that's every director.
I did want to throat punch him. It brought back some memories.
Oh
Right.
God. She was like, every director. I was like, not every director, but also every director.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, they're all this. They all think they're creative geniuses. And you're like, your job is to say yes or no. That's your whole fucking job. You just make a final call on everything. Please do not put yourself on a pedestal. But Erin, how do you really feel about directors? Anyway. So, but specifically when she's talking about the work that she helped contribute to this story and the workshopping the specific role and helping him with the music and the way she discounts that, I see that from so many people in general. Obviously, this happens more with women, but like in the theater industry, like it gets given the ownership of the work is constantly given away to people who didn't do the work. AKA producers. They are also a huge fucking problem in this industry. And so, when people go up to get their Oscars for best movie of the year, it's not the director or the actors who accept the award.
Yeah.
Right? And so all of that was really hard to watch because of how well done it was.
Yeah, they did a really good job, I must say. Also, there was a very 80s feel to the beginning of this movie that then had me confused. I'm like, when did this movie come out?
Yeah.
2024.
I know, but I looked it up because I was like,
Yeah.
is this an old movie? Because like it has a very 80s feel to me.
Well, it's that opening song. I can't remember what it is now, though.
I
wouldn't know what it's going to be called.
Actually just the song that ultimately she ends up singing that they played.
Really?
It is the song at the beginning that makes it feel kind of 80s-y. It's also the makeup type that they use for the monster.
Yes. And the costumes.
And the costumes.
It very much emulates like the Beauty and the Beast, Broadway Beauty and the Beast.
Yes.
And which I think makes perfect sense for like the nature of what they're building overall. Also, like the version of New York that they're showing feels very not of the current era.
Yeah.
So I think there's that too.
Also, can we talk about a realistic sized brownstone?
Yeah.
Oh,
Although I kept having moments where I was like, God damn, her apartment's so big. And then I was like, oh yeah, it's her mom's place.
Yeah.
it's her mom's
Yeah.
brownstone. And
Yeah.
like when they walked in, because, you know, every image you get of like a brownstone in New York, like there is no way they're that size.
No, that you walk in and there's like a million fucking stairs.
Yeah.
You're like, why? Why would you ever live at a place that has such a steep staircase?
But this one, they walked in, I was like, oh, that's actually pretty on point, I feel.
Yeah.
Like,
Yes. One of the things that I liked really early on is the like depression sequence, I guess is what I'm going to call it.
yes.
Because her shitty friend Maisie is like, okay, I'm going to go now. Don't cry. Like, oh, okay. Well, thanks, bitch. Problem solved. I'm happy now. Like what?
My entire life just got upended. So cool.
Cool,
Yeah.
you're going to leave me alone here.
Yeah.
Yes. And the stress eating, the buying tissues. Over
That's
and
actually
over
how I
and over.
realized what time period it was supposed to be, is because she ordered tissues from Amazon, and so then it was the Amazon delivery guy that came up, and I was like, okay, so this is modern times. I couldn't
Yes.
figure out at first if it was the 80s or not.
The Amazon driver took me out of it a little bit. Not the fact that she eventually was like, I just need a hug.
Although I do think he handled that well. The way he like
Yeah.
curves his hands out. He's like, I'm not touching, but also they're there.
Right. All I could think when I saw the Amazon driver is I was like, oh, look, product placement.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But probably not if their budget was $300,000.
Yeah, maybe not. I don't know.
Yeah.
I watched it on Amazon, so that's why my brain connected it.
I watched it on Hulu.
I watched it on
Or not Hulu.
Max.
Max.
Yeah. But anyway, so one of my favorite parts is when she's like digging into all these fucking pies. Why did she get so many pies from people?
It was her
It was
mom.
her
Her
mom.
mom sends pies.
Sends all the pies?
Yes.
That's a crazy woman.
She said that her mom loves to send sweets when she is on a diet.
She says pies and dough when
Yes.
she's on a diet. So she spent pies and $5,000.
We need to get that lady to be my mom and on a diet all the time.
Yeah.
But there's a part where she's like chowing in and she's like crying into the food. She's like, I don't even like it.
I get that.
Yep.
Yeah, and she's like, I'm disgusted. I'm like, God, I've been there.
Yeah.
It was too relatable. He's like, you don't need to put me like out in the public eye like that.
I was gonna say, you don't need to put me on blast like that. Mine
No.
wouldn't be pie. It'd be something like SpaghettiOs.
Yeah. Something that's like not good, but also you just can't stop.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I get you.
You're just trying to like fill the void with food until
Uh-huh.
you're like ready to throw up, and then you're like, I still might eat some more.
Yeah.
Yep.
I've never done that. But
Anyway.
eventually the monster seemingly gets tired of her shit and shows up after she injures herself
Mm-hmm.
because she's kind of clumsy.
Well, you know.
For somebody who has to dance in musical theater, you'd think she'd get a little more grace, but you know,
Nay.
nah.
We know many of people that have plenty of grace on stage and not a damn thing.
I am a little confused, like, now that we've watched the end of the movie and realized that the monster was, in fact, the monster from, like, her childhood.
Mm-hmm.
Why he was trying to get rid of her so quickly. Because, like, he was also kind of obsessed with her.
Well, I mean, the monster, I think, is pretty clearly a metaphor for herself and the like repressed emotions that she continuously pushes down. And so what I think the monster is like trying to get rid of her is that the monster is trying to take control. Like, let me just end this for us. And I think the darkest way you interpret that is the correct way.
Sure.
Yeah.
So you got 2 weeks, right? Before I really make a move. Yeah. Journeys to self-love. I one thing I really like about this is there's this mythos that like especially influencers and people like that will get online and be like, self-love is this growing journey and you're just always expressing yourself anew and stupid shit like that. The journey to self-love is very violent.
Well, yeah, you
Yeah.
got to kind of break yourself down before you
Yeah.
can build yourself back up.
Yes.
Yeah, so the monster comes out. He decides that she has 2 weeks to get out because he likes being an only. He doesn't want roommates. Her mom's always gone, so he's just living in the house.
Yeah, again, there's a lot of like logistical questions I have with that, but also I understand that the point of the movie is to not ask those questions. It's just to like watch the movie.
Yeah.
Well, he's got like a magical hidey hole that we find out about
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
later on, and has apparently been stealing stuffed animals, socks. Of
Socks.
course.
Of course.
Yeah, so he's got a bit of a problem, bit
Yeah.
of an obsession.
He also clawed the face of a kid when she was a child.
Well, the kid was being fucking weirdly like misogynistic for a child.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's true. They were clearly doing like a 7 minutes in heaven situation, and then like the second she went to kiss him, he called her a temptress.
Yeah,
Yeah, I
all
was like,
things.
what child knows what to say that?
yeah. I was like, what is your parent saying at home? Like, what the fuck? No kid just comes up with that on their own.
Yeah, no shit.
I mean, it sounds like a very churchy thing though.
yeah.
It does.
Ah, church.
So, yeah.
Well, we get to see a couple of instances where the monster has come out. When the monster's like trying to get her to calm down and is like, you remember the times, the good times. You remember, like, I'm still here. I've still been here. It's crazy. So anyway, you got to leave. I do love her scream too. Like, so she first like kind of gets knocked out and the monster's like, oh, well, I guess I'll like put her on the couch and make some tea and whatever. And she, as soon as she wakes up and sees him again, she just screams for the longest. And every time she like manages to get a breath, she's letting out more scream.
I also love how realistic it is that it like trails off into this like thing. It's like, well, that's real.
Yep.
I giggled very hard at that. Like,
It did have quite a bit of like, not like laugh out loud moments, but a lot of like quirky, like moments.
Yeah.
And I did like that.
Yeah. Like when they were watching whatever movie they were watching, I don't remember.
Royal Wedding.
yeah.
Royal Wedding and Night of the Living Dead, the original.
I caught the Night of the Living Dead. I did not. I have never even heard of the movie Royal Wedding.
Classic.
I did not grow up watching any classics.
Turner Classic Movies. What up?
Yeah.
But I just love like the monster is being kind of just classic, like, no, I don't want any of your chicken. Well, maybe I want the chicken. Okay, well, maybe we'll watch this movie. And it was a very kind of cute and quirky and silly, like rom-com kind of moment.
Yeah. Yes.
It was. I do love that when they cut to the end of that scene where they've been watching Royal Wedding and she's bawling and he's trying to hide the fact that he's crying. He's like, whatever, you're crying. I'm not crying. It was funny and cute.
Yeah.
Yes. Well, their whole 2-week montage of being in each other's way and the monster getting annoyed with it is all very cute.
Yeah.
Like you could definitely just see this in an awkward forced roommate scenario minus all the other crazy things that are going on. And it would be cute.
Her playing the same song over and over again on the piano and for the love of God, play a different song.
Yes.
Love when he tries to like rip the music and like can't, and he's like throws it and he's like, look what you made me do. It's like she's already stopped playing.
Or how he just constantly keeps trying to steal her food or like get in the way when she's trying to like get food out of the fridge.
The food fight.
The food fight, which resulted from the breaking of the plates, correct? Or is that
Yes.
separate?
Yeah.
So that was after she went to do the audition for Laura, the Laurie, the role that she was promised for. But, Jacob, he just cut her out and didn't even tell her the auditions were happening.
Yeah, because he's a fucking asshole.
Yeah.
And props to the guy at the head of the line because he was like, wait, you workshopped this entire thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll sneak you in.
Well, and I love that moment where she's like trying to explain, but she's also not trying to throw the director under the bus and the writer under the bus, right? Because that's
she's trying to professionally say,
I got
this should be
fucked.
my fucking part.
Yeah. And like that is also like so on point. This thing of like, I really need to communicate that person over there is a fucking asshole, but I need to do it in a way that implies that I have no ill will towards that person.
Right.
Even though I do.
Yeah. Even though I want to light him on fire. Yeah. But also that audition, apparently, like the way that the casting team was watching her was that it was going terrible, and like it wasn't going great.
Yeah.
But you would think at one point any of them who had known that she had workshopped this role to begin with would say, hey, I know that you're still in recovery. If you want to take a beat, just breathe, and then like we can do this audition again. Like it's fine. But instead they're like ignoring her.
Well, that's the part that I felt really confused by, because she gets in there for casting and immediately the stage manager or the casting director kind of goes, oh, do you two know each other, after Jacob like acknowledges Laura. And it's like, well, how do you not know that she workshopped this role
Right.
several times?
Yes. And I think that there's sort of this, like, obviously there's some unreliable narrator due to the fact that there's not a monster actually in any of these scenes, right?
Yeah.
But there's also, I think, we are getting very specifically Laura's perspective on all of this. And so it's the reading of microaggressions and micro like reactions to things that they're doing and saying that get blown up, that I think we're all guilty of doing from time to time, where we're like,
Sure.
I'm just going to assume that they're not looking at me in this moment because they don't want to look at me because I'm doing so horribly, right?
Yeah, which it very well could be that she maybe didn't do as badly as was portrayed to us,
Right.
because we are also our worst enemies when it comes to how we think about ourselves sometimes.
Well, and she couldn't have done that horribly that they gave her the understudy, right?
Yes, because he didn't want her anywhere near that part. And
Right.
she still got it.
Yeah, and I mean that part's a little confusing because Jacob does make it sound like he is the one who is offering her the understudy role. But I was like, I get you're the director and writer, so maybe you could make that call, but really you can just do that?
I don't think it was his decision.
No.
Right.
I think it was the other people's.
Because it sounded like on the phone he was hoping she would say no.
Yeah.
Yes.
So I don't think it was him putting it forward at the very least, unless it was him trying to cover his tracks and then hoping that she'd be so offended by being offered that understudy role that she just wouldn't do it.
Mm-hmm.
Which, why would you think she wouldn't do it? Like, you got to take any opportunity,
Right.
Yep.
Right.
especially to work under somebody who is well known. So the gal who actually got the role, Jackie, is apparently pretty well known in the circle.
And by the way, a ride or die.
Yeah.
She was a ride or die.
Right. Jackie ended up being the friend that Laura deserved the whole time.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. But that puts Laura into this position where she's now once again in Jacob's orbit. And so, like, honestly, she would have been justified to say no.
Yeah, for sure. I mean,
Yeah, probably would have been better for her all around if she had, but
right. But, you know,
Yes and no, because there's also this thing of like, it wasn't like she was going to immediately get cast somewhere else.
exactly.
yeah, no, and I get that. It's just hindsight's 2020.
Right.
But also, if the show goes really well, usually the understudy eventually takes over the lead role once
Yeah.
that
Correct.
actor moves on. So it's like,
yeah.
how do you really say no to that?
Well, and especially after the conversation she's just been having with the monster, because after the auditions, she goes home and she talks to him and she's like, I didn't get it. I know for sure I didn't get it. I did horribly, like very in her head, right? And the monster tries to like sort of not necessarily cheer her up, but to give her a perspective shift, and is like, okay, but like this is not the only place you can act,
Yeah.
especially in New York City.
Well, and when you are trying to act, especially in New York City, you have to have pretty thick skin of like, I auditioned, I either got it or didn't, but I got to move on.
Yep.
Right. With the one caveat that this is obviously the most extreme situation that you could be in under those circumstances.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. And also a role that you were already promised. So in your head, this was already your future.
That's
Well, this was going to be her break.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, and like, can you imagine having, as singers, can you imagine having a moment where like all the good notes for you have been picked, the ones that are perfectly within your wheelhouse, your range, where you can belt, where you can go up, where you can go down, and you don't get to sing it?
Yeah.
Wild.
I'd be furious.
How could you not? How could you not?
Not only that, but like I imagine her ideal of the role is entirely tied up in Jacob too, right? They've had so many good memories of working on it together. They were going to make so many more memories working on it together, putting it up on Broadway or off Broadway. So it's a very like it's a soup of emotions.
Yes. Although we start getting a little like crumb trail to follow in terms of how good actually is this show pretty early on, because the monster is like, first of all, the show is very misogynistic, and I don't remember all of his critiques, but I remember that being one, and he's like, and it's honestly not that great. Right?
Yeah. Well, it's a show about women starring almost entirely full cast of women, written by a dude.
Yeah.
Yeah. And from what you see of the show, I was just like,
And like one male character being super gross.
yep.
Yeah.
So yeah,
His speech at the beginning about women, like when they're starting the read through. Well,
The Headmasters or Jacob's?
Jacobs,
but also the headmaster.
but also the headmasters. But yes, we did the like, oh, it's the cringe speech, but it's cringe on a couple of different levels because he's just being a pretentious prick. And then you start listening to what he's actually saying and you're like, oh, ew.
Right.
Ew.
It's definitely like somebody stepping into a space that like they know nothing about and have no experience in, but trying to claim it so that they can profit off of it.
Right. It's very much, it reminded me a lot of the discourse surrounding Joss Whedon and this oh yeah, but he writes such empowered female characters. And it's like, okay, sure. But like he works on shows where he also has a large female staff that can help contribute to that. But also like talking about a subject does not make you an expert in the subject.
Nah.
You know, and he proved that point.
Sure did.
But I think that then when we get to see it in this various different forms where it's really clear that the script actually is not that good and is maybe really definitely problematic.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's a signal to us that the not just the relationship she had with Jacob, but also the part and the show are being looked at from Laura's perspective through very rose-tinted glasses. And so when we finally get to the point where she's like breaking down, screaming at him in rehearsal and is talking about what this like production process has been, it's like, actually, no, you probably don't have good memories of working on this with him. You have memories you've tinted to be good memories.
Right.
I do love that the reason that she snaps is because he's mistreating the person who is playing the lead.
Yep. Which is like, it's such an interesting thing when she snaps, because even at that point, she still thinks that Jackie and Jacob are sleeping together. And like, I appreciate to my core, yes, you can be upset with Jackie in the sense that like you don't want her around your ex, but it is not her fucking thing at all. She's stepping into a space and like, yeah, I mean, maybe don't fuck your director, but it's theater, so whatever. But she doesn't know anything. We find out that Jackie literally knows absolutely nothing about the history between Laura and Jacob.
Had no clue. And she wasn't sleeping with him, as we find out.
We do find that out.
Well, and up until that point, Laura is really, I would say, for the position she's in, very chill about it all. But she gets to a point where she's finally like, the worst thing she does to Jackie is she's a little snippy, right?
Yep.
And then like one of the other actors comes over and Jackie asks about it, and she's like, what is her deal today? And she's like, I don't know, maybe because you keep flirting with her boyfriend. Like, get it together, girl.
Well, and then she points out Laura.
Yeah, like, how'd you not put two and two together there?
I do like the thought that like the entire cast, besides Jackie, who had no clue, and bitch face McGee, who's fucking her boyfriend, are kind of on Laura's side. Like, they all kind of are Back her.
Well, you definitely get the vibe that Jackie was not in the theater space prior to this. Maybe she
Yes.
was before, but I think she was like maybe in TV or something for a
Yeah.
bit. And so she's definitely the like fresh eyes coming in, don't know the drama, don't know the dirty laundry.
I will say though, when Laura does like break and cannot take anymore the way Jacob is treating Jackie, she's really justified just from like a fellow actor's perspective.
Yeah.
Because he specifically says we're just going to run through this sequence for an exercise. What that tells actors is that they're supposed to market. They are not supposed to go full force because they're supposed to protect their voices.
Yeah.
And then he has the audacity to turn around and say that she's giving the same energy as Happy Birthday at his mom's house. And I was like, I'm going to throttle this motherfucker.
Oh, yeah. I
Kill
wasn't-
him. Oh my God.
Like, yeah, she wasn't giving any intensity, but she's not supposed to
She
in that
shouldn't
moment.
be in that moment. What? You literally just said we're just going to do an exercise. What the fuck, my guy?
That moment is more to like make sure that everybody has their marks correctly and everything.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. That, and like it felt very like end of rehearsal. Like we're just gonna like we're not gonna go past this scene, but we're just gonna go.
We're just gonna breeze through this one.
Yeah.
Right.
Right. So you've already been pushing people for a while. And the thing is, again, the reason that was so frustrating is because I've seen it happen before. Like the power trips and dynamics that were in this were so well done. And I'm like, I get what you're saying based on a true-ish story.
I was gonna say I'm having a little PTSD in some moments.
Yeah. I did laugh really hard at the stage manager being the chill guy.
I was
Yep.
just about to bring up the stage manager.
Yeah, because there's only two types of stage managers. There's the one that's so uptight and frantic that like all they want to do is make sure that they get all the cues right and they have everything right and everything's gonna go well. And oh my God, will you get into your place, right? And then there's the one who's like, hey guys, so we're gonna be picking things up here in 5. So go ahead and get a drink of water.
I love when after the big blow up, the stage manager, I think his name was Sam, comes up and he's like, okay, that's a 5, everyone. That's a 5. But he's holding up both of his hands. And one of the actors is just like, that's 10. He's like, oh. And I was like, dude, are you fucking high right now?
100%.
100%.
And he was so awkward at the Halloween party.
Yes, I think it was the same actor, was like, she doesn't want to talk to you. And he's like, oh, okay.
Oh, okay.
Oh, man. The high stage managers give me life. I know so many, and they're literally the best people, except that you're like, there's some moments where I need you to have better energy.
Yes. I think there's also a line where maybe it was at the first read through of the script, and he's like, I'm going to keep saying Sam. I don't know if that's right. I'm Sam. I'm the stage manager. I'll be managing. You know it. Just like walks away, and I was like, yes! Yeah, bud, I do.
I feel you, bud. That was a man who doesn't get enough sleep and has smoked some herb.
That's a man who's stage managing 2 other shows as well.
Yes.
Yeah. He's like, this is just one problem I have to deal
Yes.
with.
On the note of the Halloween party, though, I want to talk about it because
Yeah.
we're jumping all over the place. We have really only touched the monster a tiny bit, but I was like, I totally got Laura. She went to the Halloween party looking fine as fuck.
Yes,
Yeah,
she did.
And I was like, I want that dress.
She
I
walked
know.
down and I had the same reaction he did.
The hand to the heart.
The hand to the heart. I was like, oh.
Oh,
Oh, hero praise.
yeah.
And then I had the hand to the heart to his reaction.
Right? It was very cute.
Yes. There's actually a lot of cute moments. Okay, we'll talk about Halloween party in a minute. Because the monster is doing all of these like super cute things. And I think the way it was written was so wonderful, where he's still the monster. He's still kind of like socially not the greatest. And yet also is reading her fucking Shakespeare. And I was like, oh, hurrah, praise.
Yeah.
The Shakespeare was hot.
Yeah.
The Shakespeare was hot. I couldn't
And I don't
remember
even-
what play it was from.
I think they were doing Comedy of Errors, but I can't remember off the top of my head.
She said Comedy of Errors at one point, but
That doesn't sound
yeah.
like Comedy of Errors, but I could be wrong. I haven't read that one in a really
I thought
long
maybe
time.
The Tempest, but I don't know.
it doesn't sound
I
like
don't
the
think it's the
Tempest.
Tempest. It could also just be
Could just be a sonnet.
that's the one.
Yeah.
My brain kept saying soliloquy, and I was like, that ain't it. Try again.
I just all of a sudden I was like, and he gave me a soliloquy.
Yeah. And I don't even like Shakespeare. So if somebody did that to me, I'd be like, this is super awkward and you're giving me too much eye contact. But in the movie, it was very adorable.
I like Shakespeare when people who are doing it know Shakespeare and know not to make it weird. Like he did at the beginning where he's like, I'm going to put on this voice. And I'm like, if someone comes at me with that energy, throat punched.
And then he evened it out, and I was like, oh.
Yeah.
Yes,
like if you ever
please.
just read the words, you're like, God damn.
I love how he's like, it's not hard. Just read the words. There's no subcontext. And I was like, okay, that's not
That was
quite
one-
right.
Yeah, that was one point where I was like, "Whoop, wait up, hold on."
Hold
like
up.
half of this is double entendre. So like what? Try again.
When he finished the soliloquy, though, I literally went, "Take me, I'm yours."
That was when he was playing the piano. And I was like, oh, hurrah, praise, piano man.
I thought they were gonna kiss at the Shakespeare part.
I know, but they didn't. And again, I think that was really, really amazing writing because that's, that will they, won't they the whole time. So strong.
I
Yes.
love a will they, won't they.
So then we get to the Halloween party and man knows how to clean up.
Yeah, he
Yes.
does.
Like his little like half updo thing. I was
Yes.
like, okay. So we clean up.
But if that whole outfit wasn't screaming beast,
Yeah.
Yeah.
like the whole thing.
Well, I got questions because he lives in a closet of clothing. Why does
Yeah.
he got two outfits and one of them's a suit?
I don't know. I don't know.
I mean, he looked good.
I mean, he
Cleans up-
doesn't leave the house most of the time.
That's
so
true, but, like,
I
you
think he
can't-
just doesn't care.
Right, but why does he have the suit is really the question.
Yeah,
Monsters don't have to have rules, guys.
you're
He
right.
does have zero rules.
There are no rules to this monster. That is for sure.
Uh-huh. Yeah. Because if what you're saying is true and he's just kind of like a representation or a manifestation of her inner thoughts, how the fuck is this monster existing at the Halloween party? Granted, he doesn't interact with anybody else, so I will say that.
And she's intoxicated.
Yes.
She is intoxicated, and he hurts Jacob.
He does hurt Jacob, but only by like opening a trap door. So that's could be, I mean, depending on how you want to take it, that could have been something she really did. And
I
she's
think
just,
it's-
That's how
She
I
really
interpreted it, because like also he's doing this like weird swishing around thing, and she's drunk, and so what that I was like reading that as is like she's trying to hold the plot, but realistically like she's just fucking doing it. And you know that like kind of haze that comes over you when you're at a
Yeah.
certain level of drunk, where you're like, I know I can see, but also I can't.
Also, I think what another indicator that this is really just her anger coming out and everything is at the end when, spoilers guys, she kills him and he comes out to, you know, take care of things and everything. When he does actually attack and then he comes back and he kisses her and everything, the monster and everything, she does not have any blood on her. But when she's singing, she's
So-
covered in blood. So she did it with the yardstick.
She's covered in blood, and the next time we see him, he's got no blood on him.
well, I think what Danny is saying is, so the monster comes, rips Jacob's throat out. They kiss. At that moment, Laura does not have blood on her when she should, because we literally see her on stage with blood
And
on
she
her.
has blood spray across her face and
Right.
on her,
Yeah.
on
But the
her-
monster also doesn't have any blood on him, and
Right.
he's supposed to be the one who ripped out his throat.
Yes.
Yeah.
And again, is in the suit just without the jacket.
Yes.
Just thought I'd point that out.
Yes,
He's got
it is.
two outfits.
Two outfits.
But in reality, what happened is I think she killed him with the yardstick. 'Cause
I don't
she
think
snapped
it's
the yardstick in
possible
half.
that couldn't be the case. Like, why would they reference that if that's not how we were supposed to interpret it?
What, her picking up the yardstick and just
Yeah.
slowly breaking it. Yeah.
Well, and if it had one of those like metal bars on the side, like she could definitely hack at him with that.
Well, it'd be hard for her to snap it in half
I
with a
think
metal
she-
bar, but
From the look of his throat, I think she stabbed him in the throat with the yardstick.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
With the like jagged edges of the yardstick. Ugh. Sorry, that grossed me out.
Well, the other thing too is the monster likes all the things she likes, right?
Yes.
He likes the same food. He eats the pie, and she's like, "Don't eat that. That's old." And he's like, "I don't care."
Yeah.
Right,
Yeah.
which is a reference back to her doing the same thing.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
And the monster, like when they're referencing back to the piano scene, like the monster isn't like the worst at singing, but he's not great, but he can somehow play the piano the exact same way as her.
Yeah.
And it definitely gives the impression of like, if the monster wanted to sing, he could. He just wants her to do it.
Yeah.
Right. And so it's like, how do you know all the same songs she knows, monster?
Well, also, so back to the you're a temptress. She attacked him in the closet
Yeah.
when he yelled at her.
Yes. Well, and then we get this moment at not quite the end, but towards the end, she gets very upset with the monster and tries to send him away. And we get these flashbacks of her having done this multiple times.
Yeah.
Right. And so it's definitely a suppression act of like putting the monster back in the cage, but it's also always happening at this particular closet. And she's always like, she somehow is the only one who ever has the power to put the monster away. So
Well, and when he goes away, he just straight up disappears. Like she
Yes,
tries
yes.
to open the closet to find him again, and he's gone.
gone. Yeah. Well, I think too, you can make the argument that it's also kind of saying like we all have this monster inside of us, but the reason that hers is so aggressive is because she suppresses it so much.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because also that's one of the monster's biggest upsets is that she will not just acknowledge that the things that happen to her and the things that she is in some ways enabled to happen to her because she won't stand up for herself are like just big things that he fights her on. And so after the Halloween party, she's asks the monster, why did you hurt him? And he's like, well, 'cause he sucks and he fucking deserved it.
Because he hurt you.
Yeah.
Well, because at the Halloween party, Jacob is fucking. She thinks it's Jackie. It's actually Maisie. But the other thing too is like, it's from that moment where she starts actually yelling back and agreeing, right? Because the monster gets the most upset when she does not when she keeps defending Jacob.
Yes.
And so when she finally breaks down and is like, yeah, you're right, he is a piece of shit, that's when they collide and have their sex scene. So it's like her actually really accepting the monster.
Yes. And I think that back and forth is probably one of my favorite scenes in the movie because it starts off it feels like two best friends having an argument with each other where you're just like, can you please quit dating this guy?
Yes.
Right. But it also, he's just as hurt as she should feel when she's rejecting the fact that she can't just make this okay by saying it's okay.
Right.
Yeah.
And so when she finally starts like acknowledging it and repeats, it's not okay, it's not okay. And she starts screaming it. Like you can see he's kind of teary-eyed and is like, oh, thank God, finally.
Yeah.
And then they pounce on each other.
They do.
Yes. And even though, that's there's this next little montage of their sex scene, which is relatively it's not that much, right?
Yeah.
It's just like it's a close-up on some hands and some close-up on some faces and stuff.
And back.
Yeah, and back and stuff. But I don't know why, but that was it was so sensual. Like it got me a
was.
little hot.
Yes.
I also really appreciated that he didn't have like a perfectly like toned and smooth body.
Yes.
Right.
Like the close up on his back, he had back hair and stuff because he's a monster.
Yeah.
And his hands weren't perfectly smooth. Like sometimes they do the like face treatment in movies, but then
Forget
the
about
body
the
is
rest.
completely normal. And I really appreciated that they didn't do that.
Yes. Well, and so for continuing this understanding of what the monster is to be an inner manifestation of like her anger or at least a big emotional component of her, I think it's safe to say that she like masturbated for the first time in a long time.
Probably.
Maybe. Yeah.
And that's what we're witnessing, which also makes a lot of sense that there would be a focus on hands.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
And there's a lot of like not really seeing what's happening. Like at one point they're going at it and we're just hearing sounds and the camera is focused up on the light in the room where somehow her dress has gotten on it. And I'm like, that's an aggressive throw that you got it to stay up there.
Right.
Yeah. I also liked that light fixture. Sorry. I know that was really ADHD
was
of
cute,
me, but
though.
it was a cute light fixture.
It was cute though.
Well, talking about lights, one of the other big signals we get is whenever the monster is about to like really show up or something big is about to happen is the flickering of lights.
Yes.
Which I think in some ways you can, that justifies the monster being real, right? Like if he can make physical things happen, but then there's also the argument of like, well, that's just in her head too, because no one else is reacting to it.
Right. Nobody else reacts to it. So
After that, though, they kind of start forming this like very cute, oh, we're sort of dating, we're sort of like, we've sort of got a thing relationship. And I'm like, can we explore this more? It's very cute.
it
It
was
was
very,
very
cute.
cute. The hanging out, the like he crawled under the bed.
Well, yeah.
I fucking loved. I laughed so hard.
I did too. I was like, why didn't you just crawl in the bed with her, dude? But like, it was adorable.
Well,
He's a monster.
monsters live under the bed.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do love when they're saying goodnight in her bedroom and he's about to go in the closet right before he comes out and crawls into the bed. And they're just being like that really awkward, like, okay, good night. And then they just like start to walk away and they come back and kiss real quick and then they go to bed. And I was like, oh, so cute.
Yes.
It's very cute.
And then she goes and has the big blow up at rehearsal. And then her and Jacob really get into it for the first time.
Yeah.
And they fuck each other.
Yeah.
And the monster's real mad about that. You could say that that's a manifestation of her being mad at herself and the anger there.
Well, especially because like when we get these scenes where in a normal kind of relationship you'd expect the other partner to get kind of jealous, the monster never really gets jealous. He gets angry, but it never feels like jealousy.
Yeah, it doesn't feel like jealousy. It's anger at her for backsliding, essentially.
Yeah. It's disappointment, even almost more than anger.
Right.
Even I know that's worse.
And it makes sense. And so for her then to like, again, try to push him away, that feels like she's like, okay, well, I've done this thing. I've crossed this line. And the only way for me to get through it again is I need to push the emotions down. I need to push them away. So bye-bye, monster.
Yeah.
We're not giving into emotion today.
Their fight there made me laugh so hard, though. And you took all my socks. You didn't need those socks anyway.
And what were you even going to do with those?
Well, it starts out being kind of funny, but it gets cruel very quickly.
It does.
Yeah, she starts calling him names, saying he's ugly, who could ever love you? And that feels very much like that horrible internal voice that's speaking to herself there.
Well, she specifically says disgusting, and I'm like, oh, that's an internal word, isn't it?
Yep.
And then the monster comes back with, well, you would never stand up for yourself if it wasn't for me. It's like, But then Jackie shows up, and again, ride or die is like, I didn't know any of this. I'm so sorry. No, I actually wasn't fucking Jacob. What are you talking about?
I know. I was like, oh, Jackie, my sweet girl. Because that was the thing. I couldn't, like, I knew she didn't know.
Yeah.
You know, if she had been actually fucking him, I knew she didn't know that they had been in a relationship. Because there are plenty of bitches that could be, like, sweet to your face, but she just didn't seem like that person.
Right.
Like, she was just kind of a goofy, excited theater kid. She wanted to get along with everyone in the cast, you know?
Well, and she's the one who comes up with the idea of having Laura actually go on opening night for her role. Which, by the way, fucking ballsy ass move.
Oh, yeah.
Fuck yeah.
Well, and she clearly got other people to go along with it because the
She got the
stage
entire
manager.
fucking cast to go with it.
Yeah.
Well, the stage manager literally says to her, "Don't make me regret this."
Well, and it would be, all of this would make sense, except, right, because Laura is her understudy, so Jackie could easily be like, oh, I'm sick, I can't go on.
I'm sick.
But Jacob, the fucking asswipe he is, right after fucking Laura, fires her.
Yes.
And it's like, oh, and does the classic, like, well, the creative team and I had a talk and you're just a liability. And I was like, no, bitch.
No, that was not them.
No.
There were a few people who were like asking her to like take a breath, but
Yeah.
nobody was like, no.
I loved the like, oh, and she's going there.
Yep. Well, and here's the thing, and this to me was like cemented it for me that the monster is her internal something, right? Is that in that moment, she says the exact same thing that the monster says to her about Jacob. Like I can't remember the exact like insult, but it's like you're
it's
a
like
limp
pencil
dick
prick.
motherfucker.
Yeah. Pencil dick prick or something like that.
Right. And so it's like that didn't come from the ether, and like she was very dismissive of it when the monster said it. And so with that, like that to me solidified that like, oh yes, you are one and the same. And when she does go there, there's like a few gasps, but it's more like the drama.
Yes, it's more like, oh, look at what's happening. Shit's going down.
You know, they're in the background going, "Ooh, go girl, go get him."
Well, yeah, because literally after that, everybody fucking opens up their goddamn text and is texting all of their other theater kid friends being like, this shit happened at work today.
Yeah.
Yeah, we the theater kids are not good with secrets.
Gotta spill that tea.
We like the drama. It's a part of the name, really.
Uh-huh.
Although I will say, speaking of not being able to keep secrets, Jacob using Jackie as a red herring, genius.
Yeah.
It's a genius cheating move.
Uh-huh.
Because it was like everybody's looking at her and nobody's looking at fucking Maisie over there.
I mean, I realize technically he wasn't cheating. They were broken up, but it's...
No.
They started when they were...
Yeah. Laura even asks, like, how long ago did this start? And it was before Jacob actually broke up with her.
Yeah. Although, like, our first, like, clue that it really actually was Maisie is in how Maisie reacts to it, like that which ultimately ends up in their fighting together. But she takes Jacob's side the whole time. But then like somehow turns it into, and Jacob was right anyway. Jackie's doing an absolute is doing a terrible job. And it's like, you're jealous of her. Oh, that bitch.
The whole like end sequence where she's on stage, I kind of really liked.
Yeah.
I like that like she was bringing the aggression to it. I think it made the play much better than it was.
Well, for sure. Yeah.
And the stupidest thing of all is that if Jacob had just let her fucking be, he probably would have gotten a good review.
Yeah.
Well, but then he has the full fucking meltdown during intermission and is yelling at her on stage. And all I can think in my head is, dude, they can hear you.
Oh,
right?
Yeah.
Like that curtain is not soundproof.
No.
And the other thing about all of it is that he's so concerned that she's ruining his show. But we can tell from the audience's faces that they are specifically reacting positively to her.
Yeah.
And so he's really just mad that a woman is taking his work and making it have value, which is like, I think probably because Laura probably had way more influence on the show overall that she could manipulate it in that way.
Well, and it also maybe gives you a bit of an insight that that's
How
there's
much
no
of
way.
it did he actually write and how much of it did she?
Well, yeah, that, but also like that blow up, that can't be the first time that he's done that to her.
No.
Because he was like, kudos to that actor. He was enraged, like visibly enraged.
Yes,
Like
I wanted mad.
I wanted to punch him, but like thinking back now at like in not the emotional state of watching the movie, I'm like, oh, he did fucking amazing.
He really did. He killed it. He honestly, it was probably one of my favorite castings because like he looked so familiar. Like he looked like all of these other actors. And so he was like attractive, but the entire fucking time you just hated him. But you could see how somebody would be attracted to him and like kind of fall under his like starry-eyed whatever.
It's the Umbridge effect. You love to hate her.
Yeah.
But I will say too, getting back to how Laura reacts to him, one of the things she says in the fight that we never hear any other time in the movie is she calls him out for the fact that during the writing process, it wasn't just that she helped him produce it. It wasn't that she just listened to him play the music over and over and over again and helped him workshop roles and did all of that. That already is like an insane amount of free labor.
Yeah.
But then she calls out the fact that he wouldn't help out with any of the household chores because he was having an inspirational moment, or that he couldn't be bothered to make his own food. Laura, can you please make me a sandwich or some shit like that? And it was like this moment where everything sort of coalesced for her, and you could tell that she was like, oh yeah, you're the problem. It's not me. You're the fucking problem. And so when it finally gets to the end and she has had this moment of weakness where she just let what was comfortable and frequent in her life happen, where he makes her feel like shit and then gets what he wants from her in having sex with her later on after the fight. It's like finally she got it after she sent the monster away, that this is not something that is going to be made better by me just calling him names. It's got to be something where I take my power.
Yeah. I know that we're all on board with the monster not really existing, but like I kind of want him to. So in my head, I'm just going to say that he also does exist. That she's got magical powers and she can bring forth this monster.
Yep. I will agree with that because he was adorable.
Yes.
And I loved him.
Well, that's the thing. We haven't really talked. I mean, we've talked about their interactions and stuff, but we haven't talked about the monster as a character. And I think he was just like super cute, and it progressed in such a really fun way. Throughout the entire movie, I think the arcs in this movie were so well done. We get the like depression montage, building to this like tense roommate situation, building to the rom-com, building to like all of that. And then we hit the point where they have their fight, the monster and Laura. And from that moment, the tension just builds and builds and builds and builds. So by the time you get to the end where, you know, there's an actual murder on stage, it just is like, we're going there. We're fucking doing it.
Well, there's a part where one of the audience members is reacting to Jacob literally bleeding out on the fucking stage, and they're like, is this part of the show? And the person sitting next to him is like, I'm not sure, but I'm into it.
Yes.
I felt the same way.
Yes.
Yep.
I was like, that is what we're all feeling.
Yeah.
I internally was going, please tell me that's stage blood. Like she didn't. And then you saw his body. I'm like, nope, not stage blood. That's just.
Well, I definitely knew it wasn't stage blood because that was not like, where would that have come from? No indication of any of the rehearsals was it supposed to get that dramatic in that song. But I was not expecting the camera to pull out and there's just Jacob's fucking body.
Yeah.
Right?
And I'm like, why didn't you hide the body? But it makes sense if the monster's not really there. She's got to do her scene.
Yeah. Can you imagine going to see that performance too? It would be the only thing you talk about for the next 20 years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I would finish watching it. And then the thing is, though, once all the casts realize what happens, they scream and it's like a whole thing. It would take me so long to realize that that's not just the show, though.
Right.
Yeah, it would. It would take you so long especially because it's a debut show. You don't know the music or the story really.
Well, and everything we've seen has been pretty dramatic of the show.
Yeah.
You know, like there's some shit going down. We're telling stories.
Yeah. Maybe the guy she's singing about, she murders at the end. We don't know.
We don't know.
Well, that's kind of what I was thinking, is that maybe that, you know, the one male actor that is in the show, I was thinking maybe, you know, we'll see that she attacked him or whatever and it's supposed to be part of the show. And then they panned out and Jacob's on the stage. I'm like, oh, nope,
it's that dumb bitch.
nope.
Yeah.
That is not supposed to be, she's not supposed to be bloody right now.
So when she goes into full rage mode after catching Maisie and Jacob fucking in the stairwell on her way to like take over Jackie's role.
Yeah.
There was something that was so fucking satisfying about all of it. So by the time you get to the point where she's like, you better watch what you say to me, Jacob. And he's like, why? And she's like, 'cause I'll rip your fucking throat out. I was like, yes.
I had the yes moment when Maisie's trying to talk to her and she's just like, get out of my fucking room, Maisie. And I'm like, oh girl, yes. Yes. Blame them both.
Yes. I mean, they both deserve to get punched in the face. Maybe not murdered.
Murdered is a bit far.
Murder's a bit far.
Bit far.
Although I don't think he couldn't have done a lot more to make me want to murder him. So, you know, on the other hand, I get it.
Well, you know, you have to weigh the consequences.
Yeah.
Like, you know, is he worth going to jail over? Probably
I mean,
not.
she's getting that insanity plea. That's for sure.
Oh yeah.
Well, yeah.
But she is for sure getting locked away.
Uh-huh.
That's,
Oh, yeah.
That's crazy shit.
Unless she runs real fast.
And she's waiting for applause out there.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. She was waiting for her time. I'm like, oh, honey.
Yeah. It was. At the end, there's this cute moment where right before she goes to rip Jacob's fucking throat out, the monster comes back and she's like, "You came back," and he's like, "Of course, I'm your monster." And I was like,
Uh-huh.
Yeah, there was the little girl squeal that happened in my apartment at that moment.
When the movie ended, though, because it ends pretty much right as the applause,
Yeah.
or not applause, screaming because of Jacob, I just like, it faded to black for a moment. And I was like, and that's the end of the movie? Okay. All right, this is a movie we watched.
I definitely had that moment, but like the more I sat with it, I was like, but I also kind of fucking love it.
I did
Yeah,
too. I sat for a second. I was like, ugh.
Well, yeah, I'm like, where are you going to go from there?
Yeah,
I mean,
like-
nothing happy comes next.
No, there's no like. I think the only other way they could really end it is like a very like she goes fully into fucking madness and dances away with the fucking monster. Like there's no other way where we're like, yay, it all worked out.
Yeah.
Did you watch this with Pappy?
No. Most of the time I do not.
I think this is one he might actually really like.
I think he would have been very confused.
Fair enough.
But he might have liked it, yeah.
Well, I think we've talked through just about everything in this movie.
Ja.
So I think it might be ratings time.
Oh, boy. What's your spice rating?
I mean, it wasn't very spicy. It had a lot of implied spice.
Right?
But what we did get was very sensual.
It was.
It was sensual.
Yeah.
And I think, does sensual fall under spice?
I guess.
I think so.
Yes.
We have to give it something because it did have some.
I mean, I think I feel good about like a 1.5.
Yeah.
I was going to do a 2, mostly just because of the way it made me feel.
That's
Fair enough.
valid. You
We
know?
rate on feelings here
It-
sometimes.
I did have a crush on the monster.
I
Right?
did too.
And I shouldn't have. He was loud and obnoxious. And then eventually he was sweet
Uh-huh.
and cute.
His voice reminded me of someone, and I had to look him up, and I was like, have I seen you in something before? No, this actor somehow only has like 5 credits on IMDb.
Really?
Yeah, they're just coming up now. So,
Good for him.
yeah.
What's your romance rating?
that's a little trickier, isn't
It's a little
it?
trickier.
Because it kind of depends on, like, but also doesn't, on whether or not you think he's real.
I feel like I have to rate it not necessarily as if he is, but just like rate the scenes as they are,
Yeah.
which were very cute and kind of romantic in a lot of ways.
You know what I like about them, and I think makes my romance rating go a little bit higher too, is that he is written by a woman, and it shows.
True.
Yeah.
Very true.
And so when you think about it from the perspective of Laura's making him up in her head, that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like a
So-
3.
That's where I was thinking.
I was going to go 3.5.
I was
because
also waffling to a
I know.
3.5.
He read a soliloquy in my face.
He also can play piano.
Mm-hmm.
And he cleans up so good.
He does clean up so cute. I mean, here's the thing, and I think this is good advice for all the guys out there. Just show up to an event cleaned up. You're gonna have a good time.
When your girl asks you to go to a party with her,
Mm-hmm.
you go.
Mm-hmm.
And if you say no like a dumbass, you then show up later.
Mm-hmm.
Cleaned up and pretty.
Cleaned up and pretty.
Yeah,
Okay, I'm doing a 3.5 now.
Okay.
I'll do it.
I think you talked me up. So
Gavel, gavel. What's your overall rating?
I actually gave this like a...
Yeah.
I really liked this movie.
Yeah.
I also really liked this movie. I think it's one I'm gonna go back to just because I want to watch it all like from the beginning.
Yeah.
And watch how she descends into madness a little bit.
Now that you know the ending, you have to watch it again.
Yeah.
To get all the pieces.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I actually am going to go as high as a 4.5. I think I'm going to watch this not like very frequently because it's a very simple plot actually.
It is.
But I could see myself watching this like annually.
This might become one of my fallback movies of, oh, I need to throw something on. Let's throw Your Monster on.
Mm-hmm.
I don't really envision myself watching it like frequently, but to be fair, since I don't watch movies, that means absolutely nothing. I was kind of going between a 3.5 and a 4, so I'll go to a 4. I'll go to a 4.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
What about recommendations?
Oh my gosh. Recommendations. The trick here is which angle do you go at to recommend?
Do you want me to go first? I have one.
Yeah, go for it.
I also have one.
So my recommendation is going down the monster path, and I'm going to recommend a TV show that I've only seen the first season of, so don't hate me if you've seen the other seasons and have a different opinion on this. But I'm going to recommend Wolf Like Me, which is with Josh Gad and Isla Fisher. And so these two characters meet. Gary has either recently lost his wife or got a divorce. I don't remember, but the mother of his child is on the picture, and he kind of has this random meet cute with Mary, and they have like this really quirky start to their romance. And Mary is kind of like the monster from Your Monster in the sense that she's a little eccentric. Her emotions are kind of a little all over the place, but that's because you find out very quickly she's a werewolf.
Dun dun dun.
And so then Gary also finds out pretty quickly, which I like. You can only keep a secret for so long and have it be fun for the audience. And so he has to go through all the like, what the fuck? You're a werewolf? You're gonna eat me? And she's like, no, I'm not gonna eat you. I don't eat anybody.
That's disgusting.
But it's definitely more serious than even in tone than Your Monster. So I guess take that for what it is, but it's fun and I liked it.
Danny, do you want to go next?
Yeah, I'll go next. I recommend Drop Dead Fred.
Okay.
It's not a romance, but it has very similar kind of feel to it a little bit. Basically, it follows this woman who in adulthood, she has been dumped by her husband. Her mother is being a complete and utter asshole. And what happens is her imaginary friend comes back.
Mm-hmm.
Oh. His name is Drop Dead Fred. And he's constantly getting her in trouble and everything. And it basically he's trying to get her to understand that she needs to love herself and she needs to stand up for herself. Fucking hilarious. At one point, because nobody else can see him except for her. At one point, he's just like laying between her mother's legs while she's like unloading the dishwasher, and he looks up and looks at her and goes, "Cobwebs."
Oh no.
And she starts laughing at the table because it's fucking funny.
Yeah.
Her mother's like, "What are you talking about? What are you laughing at?" And she's like, "Nothing." Carrie Fisher's in it.
There you go.
She is not the main character. She's the best friend. The best friend that this woman needed in this film. Because her best friend is actually a good person.
We love that, So my recommendation is the television show Being Human.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense.
Specifically the UK version. The US version's okay. But the UK version, it's got a little something to it. And the premise is that a werewolf, a vampire, and a ghost are roommates. What could go wrong? And so it's like a drama comedy. It leans a little bit more on the drama side, definitely. But there are definitely some funny moments. And there's also a romance or two in later seasons. And there's a lot of awkward shenanigans about the ghost who's just wanted to live a normal life and can't. And also, she makes me realize that you really need to think about what you die in because she has to wear gray all the time. All the time.
I have watched several seasons of both the US and the UK version, and unfortunately they have just become one amalgamation in my brain. It's just one show with two different vampires and two different werewolves.
Yes. Although I think I like Mitchell better in the UK version. Do they have the same names in the US version? I can't remember.
I don't remember.
I have not seen it.
It's good.
It is good.
It is very good.
I think they're both good, though. You could watch either.
You could watch either, but the UK is better. And I stand by that.
All right, folks, that brings us to the end of the episode. If you like this episode, you can find us out there on the socials at Wrong Dust Jackets, primarily on TikTok and Instagram. But you can also find us out there on our website, wrongdustjackets.com. You'll find a list of all the episodes we've done, ones we have coming up, as well as our blog post. And we would really like it, appreciate it. It would warm my cold, dead heart if you would give us a like, comment, rate, review, thumbs up, whatever is available to you on your podcast listening app, because that helps us in the algorithm. That's all I've got. Bye, y'all.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.